Hello and welcome to our live session. I'm your host Tarunjeet Rattan, and today we take on a very interesting session where we speak to three educators in the field of PR, and they will share with us student expectations when they enter the industry and how they set them. Almost every year I have heard industry professionals lament about the lack of good talent and make satisfactory, seldom, more on the unsatisfactory side, make a lot of remarks about the fresh crop of PR professionals. In fact, I've been guilty of making comments like, आखिर सिखाते क्या है colleges में? And why don't these students know how to adapt to our industry? But it's very easy to make these comments even if you are a year old in the industry, because as all of us know, it tends to wisen you up very, very quickly. And a lot of times we forget our own early days, right? But the pace of the industry but the pace at which the industry has grown and pivoted in the last 12 months has been mind boggling. So, is the fresh graduating class ready to address the new challenges? Are the educators pivoting with the industry? What are the expectations being set? And we all know that setting expectations is one of the crucial tasks in PR. So grab a cup of coffee and let's start from the very beginning and find out from Professor Minal Pareek from Sister Nivedita University, who joins us from Kolkata, Oindrila Purohit from Mumbai's Whistling Woods International, who joins us from Goa, and Meha Jayaswal from Pearl Academy, who joins us from Delhi. Welcome to the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Thank you so much.
Awesome. So let's get right to the subject, right? How prepared is the graduating batch of 2021 to enter the industry? Minal, if you can give us a perspective from Calcutta.
Yeah. Of course, it's Kolkata, because Kolkata has a lot of talent, but the challenge is that the job opportunities are really less in Kolkata, though it's a metropolitan city, so the pay package is very less. So when students come into these institutes, the first, the dream is to get trained and move out of Kolkata. So this has, of course, become a challenge for us because in this pandemic, it's difficult to place students out of Kolkata because parents are not allowing, or probably they themselves, they scare whether, what if they get affected by COVID, they'll be alone, who will take care of them? And on the other hand, we are also dealing with this blended teaching learning process because that's what has been instructed to us by University Grant Commission. So we cannot call students to the campus. We've been instructed not to do so. So it's become a challenge, because our course is practical based, skill based. So how do we make them learn skill? You can give them the softwares at home, but there needs to be a trainer, besides the student to actually train. You can learn a software, how to use it effectively, and according to industry standards, how you should use it. So that is, of course, a challenge. But then we thought that we have to come out of it, and it's been 2 years now. Pretty much we are used to it. We are settled. So what we are trying to do is make it more project based. We are trying to connect with the industry as much as possible because most of the professionals are also at home, so they are also available, which was not there before. So we are trying to connect to them, have sessions with them, have small workshops with them, and also we've been able to place students. It's not that because even the placements is happening in a blended format, which I said before.
Before we get into placements, if you can share with us how are you preparing the students to enter the industry?
Yeah, so first we have
one second. I
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Tarunjeet. Tarunjeet, let me start with this. Congratulations to the class of 2021. Cheers to them. This is the most resilient batch because they have gone through what no one in last 100 years and maybe even in next 50 years will go through. This is a batch which has faced so much. So they have gone through what probably we go through in our 30s. So I'm very proud of them. We did a very special thing with our batch, apart from, of course, giving the entire software Adobe Creative Suite on their laptops, I was able to send small studio kits to each and every student's house. It was couriered, and which included an LED light, a microphone, a mobile holder, a tripod, and a reflector, which helped them to do all their subjects very well. They had fabulous photography sessions, they did so many FaceTime shoots. So, when it comes to skills, I'm very confident. In fact, why I'm so confident also when I'm talking to you today, because my students have all been placed today. I mean,
Oh,
I have no one. I have still so many placements which are lying, like I don't have students to send them. And that's the reality. There are so many, like FDCI and, all these, they still have vacancies, and I don't have many students. Now I'm sending some of my last years and last to last year's students who are maybe looking for some other jobs. So that is the
interesting.
reality. Uh,
Interesting. Oindrila, if you can share with us, while audio video is something that can be still taught through kits, right? A lot of online sessions, a lot of practicals done on your own. When it comes to PR and communication, what is it and how is it that you're preparing your students specifically for this batch, this industry?
Hi, Tarun. Am I audible? Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. So, I personally feel that the batch of now is far more ready, and it's not because just to say it in that sense, because along with the teaching, what has also changed is the way communication happens outside.
Right,
I had never heard of a virtual fashion show before. We've never heard of virtual press conferences before. We've never, last couple of years, we've seen, CEOs and everybody going online on their social media platforms and announcing what we would have otherwise had to call as a press briefing. So the skill that is needed in the digital era, it just got crunched for this batch. And what is going to come is, why most of parents or as teachers and sometimes students fret that how are we prepared, but what we are not probably missing out is this is going to be reality. This is
right.
what is going to be reality. So they are not going to be expected to go back to what it was before. They expected to take it from here and go ahead. So which is where I feel that the digital learning space and the way we have accommodated the learning into the system, doing conversations over line and making them do projects which is online, I think that's going to really help and bring in something which I don't think the yesteryears seniors, their industry seniors would have. Yeah.
But that also means that expectations would change, right? What are the
Yeah.
expectations that you are setting for your students, this year as they enter the workforce? It's an open question, but Minal, would you want to address that first?
Yeah, can you just repeat the question again?
What are the expectations that you're setting for your students as they enter the workforce?
Expectation from the students.
How are you setting those
Okay.
expectations?
As Neha said, it's. I think these students, what they have gone through last 2 years. I think hats off to them. Hats off to the professors and also to the students, because I think they have adapted to this digital reform very well, and they've learned. Initially there was a time when they were like, how we are going to learn, what is going to happen, are we going to get placement or not, are we learning or not? But then gradually we started setting standards, and we also started learning, from the industry, that how the industry is also changing. And gradually we also started changing the pattern for them. Suppose if they are going for a paper in video production or documentary production, so what I see today, that they have made lockdown diaries. So they have set the standards. Sitting at home you can make
Okay,
documentaries. So the whole
interesting.
concept has changed. Like, of course the treatment has changed, but we have gone into a different creative level, whether it's
Interesting.
any field, whether it's video production or PR or advertising. or any other field. Like I'll give you an example that right now in my campus, Srijit Mukherjee is shooting for his film. He's been into this news because of his new series called Ray. He's made a web series on Satyajit Ray. So right now he's shooting with a crew of 20 to 25 people. Now 5 of my students are a part of that crew. So they are maintaining social distancing. But before it was like huge numbers. When a movie was being shot, there was like 200, 500, maybe 1,000 people. But see, you can shoot a movie with even 20 people. So I
Understood.
think, that excessive, the nest has also, that with less also you can do, and in a
Okay.
very creative way. Yeah.
Okay, so while it's interesting to know that there are so many new ways of doing things. Meha, I want to understand from you what is that one key expectation you have set for your batch which has gotten placed.
Yeah.
What can we
So
expect from them?
yes, exactly. So expectation setting for me is the biggest goal every year, and not specially for 2021. Because what happens is companies change, their requirements change. So this year, what I told them was forget about the traditional media. Maybe when you joined 4 years back, you wanted to be in Vogue, you wanted to be in Harper's Bazaar. You can't help it. Now they're online. Traditional media is not recruiting. Will you be ready for digital? Why don't you improve your skills, create your own install sessions? So get your followers right, be visible on social media, and that's when you will be able to do something good in digital media, on digital media platforms, because that's where the largest recruitment will come from, largest placement will come from. And I actually counseled them that you need to take a decision now whether you
Right.
want to join a brand PR or you want to join an agency. There is a huge difference between joining as a brand PR, because then you deep dive. And when you join an agency, you get a 5 years experience in 1 year. I mean, it's that kind of, So I said, you need to decide, but you have to think through. You want to go for the money or you want to go where the money is?
Interesting. But the industry, the job description, I would say, for PR and communication changes every year, and in fact, with every quarter. In fact, for the last 12 months, you're right, the kind of acceleration that the industry has seen, the kind of growth that the industry has seen, has been phenomenal. But how often does the course material change to reflect these changes? Oindrila, would you like to address that?
Sure. So actually, for us, because Whistling Woods, where I teach, is very, very that way industry focused. They're essentially more practical than theoretical based. So what happens
Right.
is that we are forced, or we are conscious, whichever way you wish to put it, to change it in fact, every batch. So I don't think my batch one and batch two of the same year would talk about similar projects, barring maybe a one larger project, now, which is nice, which is a lot of hard work. But yeah, that is how it is. That there is a, and also, see, we like you were talking before, and you were asking about the expectations, and you were asking. So one of the things I just want to add is that for us, it has always been an integrated approach. So we always felt, because the school itself is integrated, so you have different schools within Whistling Woods. We've always felt that when they go out, they should be able to not just say that I am into advertising, or I'm just into PR, or I'm just into digital, or I'm a filmmaker, but I should be able to say somewhere that I can know how to create the brand or market the product. Because finally, as the industry is changing, it is getting all blurred. It is no longer how I joined, where PR agencies would get briefed separately and ad agencies would brief. It is agencies, sometimes I don't know whether it's a PR agency or a digital agency, the work that they do. So essentially, I think that is where the change is coming in for us. Yeah.
Interesting. You put in a very interesting point. When it's now it's very difficult to understand whether it's a PR agency that's gone digital or a digital agency that is looking at adding a PR wing or an advertising agency that's looking at creating an integrated marketing communication approach. So there is always this knowledge gap that is bound to happen with every month that they inch towards graduation. And in fact, we've often heard a lot of, educators and a lot of industry sessions, industry professionals quote to students that the moment you step out of college, everything that you learned in college would probably be outdated. Yeah. How do you prepare, your students to make sure that at least a majority of it still is relevant?
Can I go?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, Tarunjeet, I mean, this is not completely true, I'll tell you. But there are some key texts which are there for every domain. Okay. Key texts which we have studied, and those texts are related to maybe research, your cultural contexts, and then there are some skill sets. Now, skills keep changing, right? When we were in college, we learned how to write a press release. These guys have to learn how to write a social media post, how to convert a large format story into maybe a tweet. So, firstly, when you talk of knowledge gap, let me say that it's a basic hygiene for us
Yeah.
as educators to stay updated and to know about latest PR campaigns that have created an impact. And every impact has a learning. But when you still talk of movements, you will start with how Arab Spring made an impact. You will still talk of those key texts that have been milestones in our journey, because without history, you cannot move ahead. And secondly, it is as much a student's responsibility, okay, as an educators, it is their responsibility, because everything cannot be taught and learned. Teachers are dead. It's dead. We are now facilitators of learning and mentors, because we have our students who have googling hands, they have smartphones. You can only make them learners for life. So that's what it is. It is as much a student responsibility.
That's very well put. Minal, would you like to add to that?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Since we are having these online exams, and when you're having an online exam, the Google is there with you to answer everything. There are certain answers that you cannot give through Google. So that is where we have to pitch in and tell these students that this exam you might crack, because you can find that on Google, but there are some things that you cannot take from Google, and those are the skills. I think skills are. I keep on talking about skills all the time, because this is where and whether you are a PR professional or you're ad professional or you're into filmmaking, you need to know all the skills. You never know when this skill might be of help. So it doesn't mean that
Absolutely.
if you're taking filmmaking, or then only you should know camera. Even if you're doing PR or advertising, you should know camera, you should know editing, and radio editing. Radio sound design is something which is coming up so in a very big way. And because of this OTT kind of thing, new scripts, my students, I suggested them that why don't you go to Amazon Prime, and what they do that they take scripts online. So you can just submit your scripts, and many scripts have been accepted because they are also looking for fresh content, and that is what OTT is giving us: fresh content, a content that you would like to see, as an adult, where you don't. Everybody is not there to tell you, you cannot watch this, you can watch that, because when you're going to a theater hall, there's always this, A plus, B category, and all that. When you're in OTT, you can just watch it as per your convenience. So that is, this has opened new job opportunities. This is one area. And another, Meha was talking about this social media. Most of my students are now social media influencers. So this is this new term which has come up. They are going on food blogging, or they're sitting at home and creating content. These are content creators. And I'm surprised that they're earning so much sitting at home. Yes, but we cannot demean that by saying that sitting at home, because the content that they are creating is something which is very unique, and you just need a mobile phone for that, and probably this ring kind of lights that is there in front of you, so they look quickly, and there are a lot of filters there. But of course, if you don't have the creative mind, you won't be able to create the content. So, new avenues have come up. We as educators, we need to know how this whole media is changing, how this
Interesting.
whole platform is changing. If we don't know, then how would we groom these students? Because in this
Okay.
pandemic, the traditional media is not working right now. Traditional media is has changed.
Absolutely. We already have questions coming in, so I'm going to ask, one more question before I start taking in questions from the audience. What are one of some of the key challenges that you face every year, and when you put up students for placement, and has that challenge changed since last year? Oindrila, would you like to address that first?
So, one of the things which I feel, and it may be a little bold for a statement, I don't think the industry yet understand what these teenagers or just out of teenagers can actually do. Okay, I genuinely feel that we as in our, we still judge them by how we entered our industry. But the way we entered our industry, the previous question when you asked, I just thought of one thing. When I joined my first organization, I was told the same thing: all your education, keep it aside, now let's learn it again. And I don't think anything different we are saying again. We are again, because that is what we've heard, and we think it's cool to say that. But we don't understand that back then when I also joined, I came in with a perspective which the then industry weren't aware of, right? And it took me a few years to even demonstrate. And these kids are coming up with something which we aren't aware of. Like, both Minal and Mehak said that they are already up the game when it comes to digital communication. They're already up the game when it comes to making brand awareness. They already watch so many ads. We've never watched so many ads. They already know cases. Everything is series and Google. Everything is online for them, right? We don't need textbooks. So I think I don't think the industry, I think I would really, really want the industry to understand that these kids are going to complement what the seniors in the industry already know. And if they can actually use that, knowledge, or if they can use that experience in reaching out, I think that would make a difference. And another small thing I want to add is, for us, we also focus a lot on uh, at least in the PR course, I definitely do on the rural communication, because while these kids are all into digitalized world, the real brands are actually also going deep down into the Indian markets, right? It's no longer metros, it's no longer segmentations don't happen any longer. So I think we focus a lot across all different disciplines in order to understand human behavior. So we'll have subjects like psychology. We have subjects where we talk about audience personas. We talk about, only because we realize that even in a metro like Bombay, you cannot no longer say that Bombay is a metro and this is how people behave. There are segments, there are population which is increased, which could be considered rural, outsiders, whatever. And brands are going. Every brand you look at it, they've started using. So the coronavirus is the biggest case. They've used so much of mask wearing in terms of folklores. They've used folklores. They've used the folk art. I mean, I saw Madhubani painting being converted into promoting mask wearing. So I think
Yes.
that is where these kids need to be taken down, which is where we need to come in and show them the world we have seen and let them work on the world they are going to lead. I think that is it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I have a question where that's concerned. A lot of colleges, in fact, I've seen, your colleges as well, involve the industry, and a lot of industry professionals come in, take guest lectures, guest sessions. And when I started out, I did mention that a lot of them do quote saying that whatever you've learned in college is outdated, right? So, do you find them, these industry sessions as such, valuable when it comes to educating students? Are they or are they looked upon with a little bit of condescension that I know everything, and obviously they are experts, they've been there in the field for a long time, but the new crop of graduates that are coming into the industry also come in with their own thoughts. Like you mentioned, you took some time before the seniors could even see that there is a new fresh perspective that you bring to the table, and I don't think kids today are willing to wait 3 or 4 years. I know I took 3 or 4 years to find my own voice in PR. I don't think that kids today are willing to wait for it. So how is in the other industry sessions a double-edged sword, or do they do more damage than good to you in the industry?
Can I, on the same floor, just answer that? I think no. I think it's a very good thing because it gives them a realistic setup. While we can say all of these things about the industry, but I think the industry also wants, they want to come and see fresh, right? Having said that, like I said, that when we joined in, there were no specialized PR courses. We did MBAs, or we did, of course, I did XIC. That's I think the only thing which was available in Bombay at that point of time. But otherwise, there were not 2 years, 3 years studying MBAs for studying PR in the way we, teach our kids. So, in that sense, I feel that industry that way, I don't think it's a double-edged sword. I think they are willing to accept, and also I think somewhere they do want to see the new perspective. But when they come in, because we do call in a lot of industry, and you've been in met my students couple of times yourselves, and you'd realize that they want to know the difference. The kids are more curious, like you said, they don't want to wait. They want to know what the industry actually want. Okay, fine, in the classroom whatever you've taught me, great, but what does the real thing that they want? But having said that, I also feel that, like, we waited. See, I think the wait comes in a more of a experience, because one of the thing that most people come back and say, oh, we were not allowed to meet the client, or we were allowed to do the back end job only. But that is not about skill sets, which I want these kids to always know. And I keep telling them that is because maybe they're not confident what you would say or how would you counsel. Like when it comes to PR, we are more like a doctor or a lawyer who would be counseling a senior management. So unless and until you don't have that experience and gathered all of the bouquet in your head, you cannot counsel. So I think it is more of that rather than intentionally damaging the spirit. Yeah.
Okay, so Meha, how involved is our industry professionals in your regular courses? How involved do you want them to be?
Okay. Pearl actually, as an academy, has been set up by industry professionals, and the biggest mandate for us is we have not been teachers. We have been in the industry, then absorbed here within the institute, and came as a visiting, and then gradually. Our dean is also from the industry, Vivek Waswani, and I've spent so many years with Gulmarg and CII and places, and then came here. So this is extremely important for us, because people come from the industry. We are a small group within, but there's a huge group of there's a faculty which is part of the team because they are from the industry. For us, when Oindrila was saying that when she joined and her reporting managers, the age has changed. Our reporting managers are 40s. Today's reporting managers are 25, 24, CEO is 35. You understand? They are able to connect with these 20-year-olds and 22-year-olds like that. It's electrifying when they meet. Okay. I mean, with us, there is still a gap, but with them, it's a different thing. So they chill out together. It's that kind of a language. Yeah. So when I meet my students, their bosses are cool. They're cool. So that's what is important. And for us, so then what we do is we have an advisory board for every school, and they have a lot of workshops, and they mentor students. They take on students for internships. For example, MyGov, which is Government of India. So my students are interning there because we have established that connect with the industry. You have live industry projects, you have professional practice. I mean, they've had at least 10 industry engagements before they graduate, minimum 10.
Interesting. That's a lot of industry experience, and it does help prepare them to a certain extent. Minal, what is that sweet spot that you consider is for you, right? Especially for your students, when you think, there must be a moment where you think that, okay, now they are industry ready. What is that sweet spot for you?
I would say, of course, they are professionals. It's very important to be a professional. I understand times have changed, but then, we've been having industry people, for interactive sessions, as you said, that helps a lot. That gives them, the real feel of how the industry is. And
Right.
we are mentors, we are guiding them, but every time when they do a project, when they go outside for their internship, uh, what I expect back is they learn that how the industry functions, how to meet deadlines, and how to be a professional. Because out there, the teachers would not be there, the friends would not be there. It is a pure industry where you have to survive. So I think when they get that feel, when they know they have to meet deadline, and if they have to do a work, they have to do a work. There is no excuse for that. Uh, that is how we train them. So suppose when I give them some work, when I give them an internship, when I provide them with a placement opportunity, I expect that from them. This much expectation should always be there from our end, so that we build up a good relationship with the industry. It's very, very important, because that builds up the confidence with the industry also, that yes, this the department, as you said, kuch padhate nahi hai. Hota hai aisa. We've come from very good colleges, but we've hardly had the opportunity to even grab a camera. So at
Yeah.
least that if the student is coming from this institute, should have should know the skills
Expectation.
well, should know the
Yeah.
skills well, should know how to write. That is the basic thing, which is for a mass comm student, and should be a professional and be able to meet deadlines. That is what I look for. That
Interesting. I'm hearing all of you talk about this, and one of the key things that comes through, and this is for all our viewers who are looking at entering the workforce, the basic skills that any industry professional looks for has nothing to do with the profession that you're going to, enter. Work commitment, integrity, professionalism are all things that has to be intrinsically you. No teacher or mentor can teach you how to do that. It's up to you to make sure that you do this. We have an interesting question coming from the audience. Oindrila, this one is addressed to you. Thank you, Shreya, for this question. I want to know about how to switch or grab the opportunity in these times. How could we evaluate the pay for the work that we are doing in the industry?
Interesting. Pay is always a thing in anything to do with communication, or we are always unsure of. Like I said, that in public relations, or in the communication industry, we are looked upon more as consultants, rather than just being an expert, or a skill based worker. My personal suggestion is that, when you go, like I heard Meena saying, I heard Meha saying that these kids are taught a lot of skills, okay, but however, when they go out, and when they go out or they work for a while, they still try to stick and pitch themselves for the domain that they think is their expertise, right? They would say, oh, I am into the PR industry. But having said that, all institute, and I'm glad I heard both of them, because all of them are trying to, us are together trying to instill something which is larger in the pie than what is the smaller thing. So if they can beef that bit up when they're presenting or pitching themselves, saying that, I just don't know how to write. It is not just I know how to write a press release, or not that I just can I can also shoot. I also understand how camera works. I also understand how a press conference can be done online, or I also understand how advertising works, because that's what I'm taught, or I understand psychology of a consumer, because that's what I've learned. When you expand that thing larger, then people are willing to look at you as somebody who's going to add value, rather than going there and saying that, I have experience of doing 4 events. I think the way they do the resume itself has to change for them to claim the money that they wish to claim. Yeah,
Interesting.
that's
Can I have both Meha and Minal also weigh in on this? Because this is an essential question that we a lot of times shy away from addressing. We
I
want to
will
address
say
this
one
problem.
thing, in life, when it comes to money, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. So please learn negotiation. Yes. And because it is never that what you must know your competition, which is what these are some softer skills, and that's why we create learners for life. And this is what you need to learn from day one. First, you will make a mistake, you will be underpaid, you will be shortchanged. Yes, you will be. Accept it. And then you move on, because this is how each one of us has learned. And that shortchanging teaches you a lot. It teaches you that negotiation. So learn from that.
True, true.
Yeah,
Minal?
yeah. I would like to say that, of course, pay package is very important. But as Oindrila said, you have to be a communicator as a whole. So you should not stick to, initially when you're trying to get into the industry, I would suggest the student should not be very rigid about their areas. You will get a chance. And it's like you are not the only student. There are 1,000 students who are out there to just grab the job. And so if you are getting a decent pay where you can survive, please accept and do not be rigid. And of course, you will learn more skills, and if you are good at your job, nobody can stop you. And then of course the negotiation, they learn with time how to negotiate. But initially when you're trying to get into the industry, I think you should not be rigid. And being humble always helps. There's no harm in being humble, yet being very strong in your whatever area that you've chosen. If you're good at work, nobody can stop you. So
Absolutely.
that is our job, to actually build them and tell them that you should have patience. You cannot expect results even within a month that you'll get a promotion, or you might get a good jump. You might get another job. So for that, you please have patience. It will come to you, and everybody has their own time. Some people get offers very easily. Some people get after certain days or years. It can be years. So have patience, and if you are good, nobody can stop you.
Absolutely. But this also brings into focus, mindset and mental resilience training. PR industry is a highly competitive one and can also be brutal sometimes, especially on the younger lot who find it very difficult to kind of, negotiate that entire space between brand, agency, and media. Do you guys look at, doing mental resilience training that will help them get along with your regular PR training to help them cope with these pressures? Is that a part of the curriculum that also
Yeah.
happens?
Exactly, that is part of the curriculum. In fact, we have something called School of Life. Okay, and that runs through their first year to their final year. What
Right.
happens is these students they get opportunities to work with craft clusters. We send them; it is mandatory for them to go there. If not craft clusters, then NGOs. They have to see the other side of life, and, and that too at an early stage. So many
Right.
students were mandatorily put, who were good to work, were mandatorily put for, COVID, as COVID volunteers. So we had this group of COVID warriors within the institute, and it is important for them. And they cried after finishing that stint. They cried a lot. They said, we have never heard such stories, and we didn't know what kind of issues people were facing, and how what happened in April. All of us know. Yes. And this student at the age of 19 and 20 have seen this. So that's why I started this, that I mean, congratulations to them. And I'm telling you, industry, if agencies, if you are listening to this conversation, you are getting one of the most resilient crops ever, much better than us when we were at 20. And so please nurture them. They're going to do fabulously well.
Absolutely. That's very nice to hear, that these are the kind of experiences that they have been exposed to. Though I do believe, all the new joinees that have been onboarded since last year, and every year it happens after a couple of years, after a couple of months into the job, I'm sure they'll come back to you and say, you told me this and this didn't happen. You told me that and that didn't happen, right? But those challenges would have changed now, right? What are some of the challenges that you have heard the batch that has just gotten absorbed with, after a couple of months? What are some of the challenges that they are facing right now, and how can the industry help them?
Yeah, if I can answer that, few of my students are working in PR agency, also in news channels. So they have been asked to like log in at odd hours. So yeah, So like at 1 p.m. I'm still working, ma'am. They ask me that your phone has to be on all the time. We are consuming so much of data. My data is getting consumed. I have to get a connection, a Wi-Fi connection. I've been paid so less. I need to have this setup, whole setup, and they're making us write so much. So yes, that challenge, because they had thought, when I'll be on field, or maybe I'll go to these press conferences, and I'll have a nice kind of thing on field. But now it's not that much. So they are at home. So the pressure, it's a different kind of pressure. So that is where we counsel them. Now we have to counsel them and make them understand that it is going to be like this, and we don't know when this is going to end. And even if we come out of COVID, this blended form of teaching as well as working will continue, because even the industry has come to know that for them, there are some things which can be done at home. You don't have to rush on field every time. So even the UGC and AICT have set norms for this, for companies who are hiring, that you have to keep a blended way of recruiting these students. So these are the challenges that they are facing, and also they wake up very late because they work late. So probably their day starts at 12 or 1 p.m. So, and then they say
Absolutely.
that we wake up at 1 and then again we start working. So the whole clock is changing. So that
It's
we
also
have
because of Netflix. It's also because of Netflix. Don't blame
But
work always.
I thought this was the normal clock they like to follow. Who follows any other clock? I thought this is their clock.
I'm talking of students. I'm talking of
No,
students.
students, I'm saying if I
Yeah.
tell them to do 9 o'clock, they should have a problem. If
Yes,
I
yes,
tell them nine
people.
in the night, they're happy to do anything. So I
When
think
they're watching Netflix, it's okay. But when they're doing office job,
Okay.
it's not okay.
not okay.
So yeah.
So we can't help them with Netflix,
Yeah.
right? And we can't help them with their OTT habits. But Neha and Oindrila, I want you to identify one challenge that possibly the industry can help you with.
Yeah. I,
Okay,
oh,
Meha, you go first. Yes.
okay. Uh, Give them credit and acknowledgement, because what happens is these fresh graduates, they are used to certain kind of way, the way we give them formative feedbacks, and then we give them the final marks and they give them an overall feedback. Industry expects the final work, and then what happens is either it's trashed or it's used, but there is no credit, there is no way of reporting managers giving them consistent feedback, giving them clear briefs. No, it doesn't exist. But मैंने तो pink बोला था, but actually they were expecting a muddy pink. Please say muddy pink. Yeah, I mean, what? So give them a clear brief and give them credit and acknowledgement. I think that will make them grow. They will help you. They are going to grow your businesses and your verticals and your domains. So give them that acknowledgement.
Absolutely, it's very important. In fact, at a lot of the places that I know, they make it a point to mention the intern's name also, the youngest member's name also on presentations. Angela, one challenge that the industry can help you, help your students address.
I think in fact, giving them credit is a very very valid point, and I really appreciate that they must get the credit, because that's one of the pet peeves all the time. That we do all the work and it never goes to the client, never goes to companies, never goes to bosses, and all of it. But also, I would like to add, as industry, I think we must realize that we are done. This is our future. So groom them like they will take over and hear them out, because their colleagues are going to be marketing heads, their colleagues are going to be CEOs, and they are going to be taking over from us. So
Right.
treat them the way that you would treat somebody who's your successor, rather than treating them as somebody who are your subordinate. I think that way the industry would help them in terms of being successors faster uh, you know, than
Absolutely.
having to do.
We have an interesting question coming from the audience. Is there not a forum we can create for the possibility of a joint curriculum that is widely accepted by the industry and makes the students somewhat industry ready, especially in PR?
Yeah, I would like
Right.
to add, whenever we prepare any syllabus, whether Meha and Oindrila, they must be knowing that we have something called Board of Studies. There's a BOS that happens. So when you prepare that curriculum, now the University Grand Commission has also said that 50% should be included from the industry. So the BOS, the board itself has two industry people. I mean, I think it's just that the department or these universities have to take these initiatives. It's I think it's the laziness on the part. These people are being lazy, but the university has given us that much of liberty. So, whoever the student is listening to me, so please approach your department and tell them to make it more industry oriented, because that is what the UGC has told, that please keep it 50% industry oriented and keep people from the industry. So, gone are the times when, even I am a doctor, but gone are the times when, though doctors were those who were only writing research papers and only going for publications. So apart from this, even if you are a doctor, even if you are a PhD holder, you have to be from the industry. You need to have minimum 10 years of industry to be an academic. So those things have already been implemented. It's just that these academicians need to take more initiative in this.
I'll add to it. At Pearl Academy, what we do is we give co-branded, co-certified, and co-delivered modules. So we have a co-branded course as well, which is and so many modules which are co-branded with industry. Like we have a with Miss Malini, we have it with Snapchat. So when we have our modules, we co-brand it. So tomorrow the onus is there. You can't come back and tell me पढ़ाई इनको नहीं पढ़ाया. Okay, so my that one burden is relieved. So we have that. We have thankfully it has been running successfully. This model runs successfully because students get an opportunity to get briefs, and industry gets an opportunity to learn how to give clear briefs.
Right.
So both my problems get quite sorted with this.
That's actually brilliant. And in fact, after that, they can't complain कि ये नहीं पढ़ाया because, well,
So
your course.
ये पढ़ाया नहीं मतलब we not nowadays you don't need to teach, Tarun. Everything is
Yeah.
online and Google. Siri will answer you everything. Okay, if I ask my daughter who's 11 a meaning, she'll say, Google Assistant, please tell me the meaning. So I don't think we need to. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to teach them in the way what we thought was teaching, which is why this mandate that we're talking about. So even in whistling was like we have this thing called master classes. Okay, we have master classes because we invite and these are classes where we are not talking about work. We're talking about their journey, their resilience. They're talking about what their expectations are, how they have grown. I think it's only the skill sets we're teaching all of us. In fact, all two of us three of us that we are here, we're all talking the same thing, that we are finally as institutes gearing up to give them what is a skill rather than just giving them. Obviously, we are also introducing theories and we are also introducing what is their text history. But having said that, how do you implement that and making it here is what we are trying to impart, right? um, I think with that, the industry should also accept that there is a change. As much as there is a change in the industry, there has been a change in the academic system as well. So the question of saying that padhaya nahi, I think that's very last century, not 21st century for sure. Yeah, and not 2021 for sure. Yeah.
I completely get that. A lot of onus also lies on the students themselves to be able to absorb all the knowledge that is there. I think teachers or mentors are there to help them make sense of all that information that is coming to them. Another interesting question: what is your advice to agencies and corporates who are looking to hire the fresh batch this year? One piece of
Advice.
advice, one piece of advice that you would want them, to take cognizance of.
Advice as a warning. They have become very smart. They have become very smart. They are very tech savvy now, And I think this pandemic has made them smarter. So I think on a positive note, you can expect much more from them when it comes to doing things online. So that online, even the skills can be seen online. So they have jugaad for everything now. They're very
Okay.
smart.
So industry and agency, this batch has been on smartphones and smart boards. So this is a smart class. You're getting a smart batch. They're resilient. Just nurture them.
True.
Awesome. Oindrila?
So I think my advice to the agency is that they're going to take you over sooner than you think. So be prepared, don't get threatened, and let them take over. They'll do well. Yeah.
Interesting. Last question, right? Your best tip for PR and communication students specifically to help them keep up with the industry before they sit for the final interview.
I want to go on this. This is something that hurts me here. I think while I totally understand they're all on, world is going on digital communication, short communication. Please learn to write like you would learn to write. Um, the PFAs do not work in an formal way. There is a world out there which still expects a formal conversation. There is no alternate to speaking well and writing well. So while you can adapt to short messages and emojis and all those conversations, but nurture that bit. Nurture what is that bit of traditional approach you should nurture. I think that is what I want to tell them.
Yeah, I would
To
go with this.
all the fresh batches that are watching this, if you send a CV which says PFA, trust me, a lot of people in the industry will not even consider it, right?
Yes.
Minal?
Yes, I would absolutely go with this, Andrila. And every platform of mass communication, media, journalism has its way of writing stuff. So please do not think what you're writing for TV, you can write for print, you can write for PR, or you can write for advertising. So every media has its own requirement of writing skills. So that is what we call media writing. We train them, but unfortunately, because of these texting techniques that has happened, they don't write full sentences even. So that's a challenge. I would request every student that the school nurtures this. When they come out from school, they're very good. When they write, but as a year goes by, that things evaporates. So please take writing very seriously, and please read. That is very, very important. You need to read. You need to be aware what is happening around the world, just not politics. People think that if you're in this course, you just need to know politics. You need to know who's joining which party. No, you need to know what is happening around the world.
I
It's
think
very
that also
important.
helps in their writing. When you see
Yes,
answers or when you see their
yes.
letters, they write like they're talking, which is
They
Right.
great.
become mature. They become
They're
more
very verbal
mature.
in the thing, but see, the world has opened up. It's no longer only Bombay, or clients are not. It's a world
Exactly.
open market now. Most of the kids I know, they're doing clients, right? A Bombay client to that of a France client. It's a world open, and you cannot. It looks very, however great they are, not well edited conversation, especially a written piece, obviously do not communicate well about you. So
Yes.
I think because they don't read, they don't write like it
Yes.
should be written. They write
And
like it should be
your
spoken.
knowledge looks very shallow when you don't read. You can only have a mature way of thinking, and when you start reading, and then you analyze, and then you write. So, and it's a constant process. You cannot just start reading today and from tomorrow your skills would improve. So it's a constant process. You should read whatever. It might be in a mobile phone, not necessarily a newspaper, but just read.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
So there's read, that's very, very essential, and you will be expected to write. Multiple choice answers are not something that the industry expects from you. So please learn how to write. Meha,
Tarunjeet, I will say they are the game changers. Let them
right.
change the way we write. I will adapt to that because I am in my 40s. I want to be like the 20s. I want to dance like the 20s, and I want to write like them. So I learned from them. how to tweet. I learned from them what is ROFL and LOLS and many other things. Okay. I learned from them. It's new, isn't it? And so let it change. Let them change how it is written. Let them change. Let them change for their generation. Why do we need to still stick to maybe? I mean, I in my college days, Hindu, read that. That is the best writing. Yes. No, change it, please. Please adapt to new changes and let's be acceptable. And again, I want media platforms, if you are listening, and agencies, change the way we write. It is important because that's this generation is absolutely, when they take over in next 5 years, there is they are doing series. My student has done a series on reels. Can you imagine that? Reel series. We first thought of television series, Ekta Kapoor, and then it came to web series, and now it is reel series. Amazing. So
Absolutely. I
let's
completely
change it.
agree. Yeah, things have to change. Things have to evolve with every generation. Perfectly fine.
But
But even for
research is
that
the most
generation,
important. Just the
so
tip for them is research. That
yes.
before you sit for the interview, research social media handles, every social media handle of that organization, and then go for the interview.
Absolutely. But you brought in a very important point. It is essential for the industry to change as well because these are the new consumers, right? But here is what I would like the graduating batch to take note of. If you want to be a reeler, right? And in fact, reels is a fantastic way of communicating messages, and you have, in fact, 10-second stories, 5-second stories. I mean, mind-boggling. 5-second, 10-second stories. It requires a lot of articulation, a lot of research for you to be able to do that. You can't hash it. You can't wing it along the way. You have to do your research. You have to be extremely proficient at what you're communicating and who you're communicating to. Just because you want to be in a certain space doesn't make you be that person. You have to work towards being that person or being in that particular segment, right? So on that note, I will bring the session to a close. Any parting remarks that any one of you would like to add?
Thank
All
you.
the
It was just
best.
amazing.
It was amazing. Thank you so much. And Tarunjeet is someone, who's been recruiting my students. And thank you, Tarun, for, she's been training them and, telling them how to be in the industry. So, yeah, I just hope everyone is like you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the kind words.
Yeah.
So on that note, I will bring this session to a close. Yeah, thank you so much for
Thank you.
all
Thank
of
you
you
so
for joining
much.
us. Yeah,
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
So, on that note, we'll bring the session to a close. Thank you so much, Oindrila, Meha, and Minal, for joining us today and taking on all the questions from PR and communication, the communication community. And I think we brought in a few very pertinent points that the industry as well as the graduating batch would do very well to take cognizance of. And a big thank you to our fabulous content curators, Sonali, Sokhal, and Pooja Trehan, for putting this together. If you have more questions, then put them in the comment section below and we will answer them for you. We'll see you again next Saturday on our Facebook and YouTube Live with another inspiring session. Till then, keep upskilling with us and especially with our short video content from the industry experts. See you then.